Hello and welcome, One Piece fans. So, could we be facing a war the size of Marineford? Possibly, but before we answer that, let's start this review of chapter 954. So for the cover story of this chapter, we see Beji, and he's getting chased by Marines, which I really want to see this family come together with Lola and them be a happy family. So, while I didn't think it was going to be easy, and I don't think anybody thought it was going to be easy, I really hope that this doesn't turn for the worst. So then we have the scene with Zoro, Hiyori, and Kawamatsu, where they're talking about what they're going to do with Chusui and whatnot. And for me, this whole thing about Chusui and all these name swords has been absolutely painful to watch, because a lot of people have been saying that this is a sign of growth for Zoro. I don't really think that's the case. As Luffy's right-hand man, he's always been a pretty rational dude. Granted, he's a little stubborn, but so isn't Luffy. It's their free spirit that makes them stubborn. But Zoro's never been particularly rude or particularly selfish. But, like, this, it's not that he's growing and he's just being, he's being mature, but he's being, so, like, God bless Zoro for all the patience. If you follow me on Twitter, or if you've been following what I've been saying on YouTube, Zoro at this point is like, alright, so I can't have this sword, I can't have this sword, I can't have this sword, I get it. All your swords are sacred. That's awesome. Can I just have one sword? Like, I don't want all the swords, I just want one. That's cool that Odin had two swords, but I'm not a two-sword guy. And we got a big war coming up. I want three. But then we have the introduction to the new name sword, which, excuse me if I don't get this name right, but it's the Ame no Habakiri, which, if you see the translation note, or if you learned today, like I did, this was the sword that was used by Susanoo in the Japanese myth to kill the Orochi demon that Orochi is based off of. So, as we've seen in Wano numerous times, we have another connection to Japanese culture, Japanese mythos, and it seems pretty obvious that, and I think Oda knows, I think it's like a wink to readers, but whoever gets that sword, 99.9% chance that they're going to be the one to at least fight Orochi. But we have that sword, we have Enma, and we have Shusui, and we have the Nidai Katetsu. So I'm hoping Zoro just gets a sword. I'm really looking forward to him going to Ryuma's grave, but if he could just get a sword, just one sword, so he can be a three-sword boy like he wants to. That's all I care about. Next, we find out that Apu was secretly working with Kaido when Kaido raided Kid's Island. Now, I never particularly liked Apu. I thought his design was interesting. But now that I know he was the conniving weasel behind that whole mess, I hate him so bad. Like, he's just a rat. He thinks he is the coolest guy around because he's working with Kaido and he thinks he's nice and safe, but that raid's gonna happen, and hey, maybe the raid won't go as well as we want it to, but guess what? I know that one of the guys is gonna beat up Apu. He's asking for it because he thinks he's sitting comfy, and he caused all this BS, but he's gonna get his. But a lot of people have been talking about Law's uncertainty with the alliance with Luffy, and I'm not so sure. A lot of people have been pointing to the possibility of him betraying Luffy. I highly doubt that. If you watch my Kid and Luffy video, I talk about how Law's role in the New World, and even in pre-time skip, has always been as an ally to Luffy. So to imagine him betraying him, I really don't see. But it's very possible that their alliance could end after they beat Kaido. I mean, he even said, like, an alliance is something where you complete the objective and then, like, that's it, you're done. But, I mean, I honestly don't know. I'm looking forward to what happens with all of the worst generation, but I'm specifically interested in what Kid does, obviously what Luffy does, and then whether Law decides to go on his own with his crew, or whether he decides to maybe like join the Straw Hat fleet. I'm not sure, but I'm really curious. At the end of the scene, we also saw a figure with the silhouette letting Law escape. Now, a lot of people said this could be Drake. I'm not sure. I really don't know what to think of Drake. He's been kind of very much like a side character. He has a lot of potential to be a part of the plot, but this could possibly be his leap into the plot as a major character. But it could be Kyoshiro, which would make sense because we saw Kyoshiro in the anime opening with all the other scabbards. So this could be the turning point where Kyoshiro makes his move as one of the scabbards and helps the alliance. But other than those two characters, I really don't know who else it would be. So after that, we have a brief look at Luffy training, but we also see the new message for the rebellion, and we see the strategy meeting. And I have to say, the fact that like anyone in Wano would be able to pick up what this message is, like, I get that to anyone who's not in Wano, you'd be like, what is this message supposed to mean? But is it really that slick that they just added the legs to the snake to make it a lizard? I mean, if it's really not, like, it doesn't seem that slick, which I really don't think Oda was trying to make it seem like a slick move, which is why they mentioned Yasue going out of his way, obviously, to make sure, or try and make sure at least, that Orochi and his men thought that the rebellion wasn't going to happen, so they wouldn't pay attention to it. But I really don't feel like their secret code is really that slick. But other than that, I actually really like the scene of the strategy meeting, because minus Neko Mamushi and the mysterious last scabbard and a few other allies, we have pretty much everyone together. And it was just nice to see everyone sitting down, hanging out, talking about some strategy, about how they're going to go raid Onigashima, which, again, it was just a nice panel to see everyone together. And then, probably the biggest part of this entire chapter was everything to do with Kaido. So, Apu is back. Hate him dead. I hope he gets his he's gonna get a butt whooping. We see the numbers. Weird name in my opinion, but I'm gonna roll with it. We see the numbers, which, come on. Like, how many allies does Kaido need? He's got all his pirate crew. He's got King, Queen, and Jack. He's got these numbers, which look ridiculous. Like, that panel where they're just strolling through Wano was so daunting. But no, Kaido didn't have enough allies to just smack around the pirate ninja samurai alliance. No. Now he's allied with Big Mom, which I don't mind, because it's just making for a better suspenseful event. Like, Oda knows every fan is just looking at manga, their phone, their computer, whatever. He knows people are reading this chapter and are going, what? He knows it because he put the title of that chapter like Giving a Dragon Wings, which, if you read the translation note, obviously you see it's like the equivalent of like the icing on the cake, which Oda knows. He knows that this is making us flip out, that two of the Yonko just allied, and they happened to ally when Luffy and all his friends happen to be planning to take down Kaido. Now, one thing I want to point out is just how epic this battle is going to be. Now, I meant when I said at the beginning of this video, this could be another Marineford. We have almost all of the worst generation. Like, if Ouji shows up just for no reason because he heard there was a battle, then all they're missing is Bonnie. And, like, I wouldn't even put it past Oda to be like, okay, well, we have all of them. Ouji showed up because it was bad weather on the Sky Island. So, you know what? Bonnie's all set. She's going to show up too, because who doesn't want to fight Kaido? So, we have pretty much all of the worst generation. We have two Yonko, which I doubt Blackbeard's going to show up. But I wouldn't put it past Shanks to show up and just totally upset the entire dynamic. Because, come on, he did it in Marineford. Why wouldn't he do it again in Wano? It's just going to be so freaking epic. Lastly, I know it's a little early to be talking about this, but everyone keeps bringing it up, so I really think I want to try and address this. A lot of people are setting a tone, and rightly so. I mean, it's really uncertain what's going to happen with this raid and this whole rebellion, but a lot of people are setting a tone like Luffy and his alliance could very well lose. Now, I'm not sure what's going to happen. I don't think it'll be a straightforward victory. It's rarely that straightforward. But I do want to focus on Luffy. Now, we saw with the Katakuri fight that Luffy's fights going forward are not going to be that straightforward. There's going to be a lot of back and forth. There's going to be a lot of pain on Luffy's side. There's going to be a lot of humility. So, with his fight with Kaido, there's a really good chance that it's going to be his longest fight. Like, the Katakuri fight was pretty long. But his fight with Kaido is going to be pretty shocking. Now, it could be that Luffy manages to get strong enough to completely change how he stood up with Kaido when Kaido absolutely wrecked him the first time. It could be. Another possibility, and I'm sure there are a lot of other people thinking this too, we could get a Stampede repeat, which, spoiler alert, if you didn't see the thousands of promos for Stampede, then let me just tell you right now, when they fight Bullet, they all team up to beat him. There. So, seeing as that's not a brand new idea to the One Piece universe, it's very well possible that they could team up to beat Kaido. Personally, I would like to see them team up, all the allies get smacked around, and then Luffy beat Kaido. Now, would I be upset if Luffy had to pull like a Katakuri and escape once or twice and then beat Kaido? No. I think it would make for a more interesting fight. But I'm not sure what's going to happen. But anyway, those were my thoughts. This was another amazing chapter, and I can't wait to see what Oda has in store for us next. If you're interested in my future reviews, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow me on Twitter so you can hear more of my thoughts. Like this video if you enjoyed what I had to say, and I hope to hear from you soon.